On today's DNVR Broncos show, do the Broncos really have the worst quarterback room in the NFL? Many national outlets believe they have the worst or one of the worst. We're going to break that down. Plus, we're going to dive into specific projections for Bo Nix. Are they right? Are they wrong? What happens if the Broncos and Bo Nix have that type of season? We're diving into it starting now. Take it or leave it, Broncos quarterback edition. 3,100 passing yards, 18 total touchdowns, and 13 interceptions for Bo Nix this year. We're breaking down those numbers, why they matter, and what it means for the Broncos if those numbers do happen here on the DNVR Broncos podcast. We've got Super Bowl 50 champ Todd Davis, Henry Chisholm. You're here behind the mic, and yours truly rocking and rolling with you today, live from the Toyota Lounge inside the DNVR Bar. Of course, the Toyota Lounge is driven by your local Front Range Toyota stores. Fellas, how we doing on this Tuesday?
Feeling good. Timing is everything, so feeling pretty good.
The people behind the scenes don't even know what you're talking about.
Hey, just know that we're here, baby.
Henry, I owe you an apology. Your girlfriend, Lexi, posted some photos to Instagram yesterday, and I got to see the rainforests of Montana.
Yeah.
They exist.
People were all up in arms about that. That's true. That's the thing, though, is like, everybody says this is a desert, but you don't look outside and see like camels everywhere and like sand all over the place. Like desert, rainforest, they all have, there are different ways to be what they are.
That's fair. But if you're a DIA, it looks like a desert.
There are no camels.
There are no camels. That's true.
Yeah.
But you could be a desert without a camel.
Yeah.
Apparently. Yeah. You can be a rainforest without a monkey. Yeah.
I want to see this rainforest. Is it like green and lush? Or?
It just, at least the one photo that I saw, it just looked like deep in the mountains after it rains. But with Henry saying it's a rainforest, I assume that it's like that a lot of the time.
Looks like that.
Then then sure, I'll give it to you. I just had no idea, so I guess I just need to do my research on rainforests and know what that looks like.
Wow, maybe we need to go through this whole photo album.
Send it to you here, or yeah. Your here does not look amused.
That's not good.
You afraid of what you're gonna find there, you hear, or what?
Wow.
Here's back today, and 2 weeks until the Broncos are officially back. And before we dive into some numbers here and look at what national people are saying about the Broncos quarterback room, the Broncos quarterbacks are doing something this week. We learned a couple of weeks ago at the UC Healthy Swings event that Jarrett Stidham was going to host this year's quarterback passing camp this summer. So Jarrett Stidham, the quarterbacks, and a bunch of offensive players are going down to Dallas, where Jarrett Stidham lives, and he's kind of hosting them. He told them, you guys get here, and I'll take care of everything once you're here. And so a lot of players are down there. They're going to do some workouts and a lot of team bonding things. I believe it began last night. And so, Todd, since Peyton Manning got here, because Peyton was really the first person to put these midsummer passing camps on the map, not just in Broncos country, but really nationally. He started doing them first at Duke, where he was very serious about it. You had to be there if you were one of his receivers. And then it's kind of took on a life of its own over these past few years since Peyton started it. It was a huge deal that Mark Sanchez did do it for that Broncos quarterback room. It was a big deal when Drew Lock didn't do it. It was a big deal when it was brought back by some other guys in the past. Are these big deals at all?
Yeah, I think it's necessary if you really want to be successful come September. I don't think a couple weeks in training camp is really going to get the job done. You guys kind of got to start clicking a little bit before that. So I think it's a great way to get guys together, bond a little bit, but ultimately talk football. I feel like nobody's as serious as Peyton's were, though.
Yeah.
Peyton was no joke. We have film sessions and we have routes. Like, I'm not playing cards with you guys. Like, we're here for football. But I think it's necessary to really hit the ground running come training camp and the season.
So then, do inside linebackers do this?
No, we don't do this. We kind of move to the beat of our own drum, I guess you could say.
That'd be kind of fun.
No
like if you
linebacker
had like
camps.
a back 7 camp. So everybody like lines up
Just
and you say like,
7 on
oh, cover 3, and then you go like into your spots. Yeah, that really doesn't work.
No.
Or you do what the USA men's Olympic basketball team just did. And did you see they scrimmaged? Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
They scrimmaged
The select team.
the
So it's
select
basically
team.
a team they put together just to like scrimmage against.
And the Olympic team almost lost to the select team. They beat them by 1 point. Is that what the inside linebackers should do? Should you guys be playing like high schoolers and
Heck
practicing
no.
that way?
We would kill some young kids. That's not. We couldn't even get parents to sign waivers for that.
Yeah, they'd be coming after your NFL money after that
Exactly.
practice.
Exactly.
And you don't think you'd beat them just by 1 point?
Heck no. Not even a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably a big difference there.
This is a bit off topic, but I'm so excited for the Olympics after that. Like, it's just incredible because that is not a team of like great players. And the fact that got down to being a 1 point game,
Yeah.
like then afterwards you have Anthony Edwards going out and saying like, yep, I'm the best player here. Everybody's just going to have to like learn to play around me.
Did you say that?
Yeah, as the youngest guy on the team and like the only guy who hasn't played in a final. I guess him and Embiid, I think the only ones who have made it to a finals, like they're a mess. And it's going to be really awesome.
And this is wait, why are you saying that the Americans being a mess is awesome?
Because their first game is Serbia. I want to see Joker beat him.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome if Joker
Why is
beats him.
everybody like? We are still, United States citizens.
Yes.
Joker's
Yes.
a great player, and we love what he does for the city. But you can't just go all Serbia now just because of one guy.
The thing
No.
is, I'm just so sick of just about everybody on that national team. Like, I just don't feel
But
any.
there's
I don't
still-
see any country pride. Like,
There's
to me,
still
that's
us.
the worst of
Yeah.
us.
You think Russia for 1 second is chanting for any other team? All the Russians are going for Russia. There's no question about it.
But the fact, like, they lost like this roster: Jalen Duran, Cooper Flagg, Langston Galloway, Nigel Hayes, Trace Jackson Davis, Jaime Jaquez, Brandon Miller, Trey Murphy, Keegan Murray, Peyton Pritchard, like those are not all-star players.
But they're Americans.
Like, those are a lot of guys who are coming off of benches. Some of them aren't even playing in America. Some of them, Nigel Hayes is out in Turkey. Langston Galloway isn't playing anywhere.
But also you got guys that are all stars, like probably playing around. You got guys fighting for their life to
Yeah.
show what they could do.
Yeah.
We know that team, if they're really going hard, could be any, makeshift team. in
Joker
the
almost
world.
got. So 2016, it was after Joker's rookie season. So he wasn't even like a starter for the Nuggets yet. He came off the bench for the Serbian team. They in the group stage, they lost by 2 to the US. And Joker came off the bench and had like 30. Like, I think like they open against each other. I don't think this US team, they're going to show up playing like it's a little all-star game like those guys do. Serbia's going to come out and I think they're going to beat them.
That was like, I feel like that's a lot of beef, a little all-star. Like, you got real beef
No,
with these guys.
I do not like any of them.
That's
I
crazy.
don't like any of them.
And so you just
So you
want.
don't like our flag?
What's your end goal for Serbia to win it all? Is
Yeah.
that what you want?
Yeah, 15-1 odds.
I can't do that.
All right.
I can't
Well,
do it. I gotta be
I
pulling
get
for
it.
America.
Like,
I
Got to.
can't.
Got to.
I
Jokic
can't
is on
blame
that
you
team.
guys for pulling for America, but like I cannot watch Nikola Jokic play LeBron James and not cheer for Nikola. Like, it's good versus evil to me. And it sucks that America's evil here, but like
Oh my God.
I'm all America the rest of the way through. It's also, I mean,
Wow.
Serbia also not.
You
the
are
greatest history.
getting torched in the Toyota
They can
chat.
they can hate it if they
Torched
can
in
hate it if they want, but like it's the same thing Canada too. Like when Canada plays them with Shea, well Jamal is like the reason. That's gonna be fun. They're like
I don't know,
11 to
you
1
threw
odds to
Shea
win.
out there before you threw Jamal out
Like
there.
it's just gonna be a fun matchup with the
yeah,
two of them.
Yeah, I do think it'll be fun.
It will be fun.
There's no doubt about that. Man, can you imagine what is it the next Olympics or the Olympics after that where flag football is going to be in there?
I think it's the next Olympics.
That's not even going to be close. America's going to blow everyone out, right?
The only thing is that the other countries, like, they play flag football now. And although I think we'll have the best athletes, I don't know. We'll win no matter what, but they just kind of, they play it right now.
Best players, but under 17 scrimmage where the Japanese team beat the United States team by like 20 points.
Okay, so we just got some insight from Landon where there was an under 17 scrimmage.
The Mexicans women team also destroyed America in the gold championship. in flag football.
I think the big question
Wait,
is if
the Mexican women's team?
there's women's flag football.
Oh, I guess I was just speaking of men's because we covered the NFL and that's
True.
what's.
Whoa.
Also,
Women don't have a voice here, Zach?
In the NFL, that's what we're talking about. The NFL players.
Wow.
We're talking about the NFL players that are going to be playing in it.
Wow.
So I don't know enough about the women's flag football. So that I'll say that. Okay, does that clear the air enough? Maybe America doesn't have a good women's flag football team, but for the men, it's the NFL. It was the gold qualifier in under 17. How many under 17-year-olds play in the NFL? None.
Probably none,
Not
yeah.
even close to any. The U.S. better win this, I guess is what I should say.
should
I still
win.
am very
Yeah.
confident, but they better win this, and they better mop the floor.
Yeah.
I'm mostly curious if Alex Singleton's going to be playing for Team Canada.
Of course he will be.
I mean, how old is he going to be, though?
Is it 4 years from now, or is it 8 years from now?
Only
4? It's only 4?
So he'd be like 35, 36.
sure.
So
He'll
that's fine.
still be-
He can do it. He can do it. Well, more than that, it's Canada. Like, who else are they going to have?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But does his skill set translate?
To flag football?
Because what's he really good at?
Coverage.
Tackling.
I would have said
Tackling.
tackling,
Yeah.
number one. Yeah. Yeah. And that's not really part of the game. They'll
Grab
find
a
a spot for
flag.
him.
Yeah.
They're also up in Montana. There was a bunch of Calgary Stampeders 2014 Grey Cup Championship stuff. Kind of weird, but you're kind of like halfway between Calgary and Bozeman, where he's from. He was on that team, is the connection for those people listening.
That's crazy. You guys are like, Montana is not far from Canada, which is always cold. Montana's cold, but you guys have a rainforest in there somewhere?
Yeah, you wouldn't
Makes
believe
no
it.
sense.
You should come up there.
I don't think so either.
Well, how is it not natural? You think we're piping in clouds?
There's
to
only
rain
one
everywhere?
in North America. That's why there's only one rainforest.
I promise you, it's
I think
a
it's just a
rainforest.
forest that gets rain.
Yeah, that's different. There's
Which
different
all forests do.
Yeah, there's different environments and everything. It's not an actual rainforest.
Then I would say this isn't a desert because there's no sand.
I don't think this is a desert.
I think it is a desert.
I'm all right. If
I
we're
think
taking
it's
the desert
technically
away.
considered a desert.
I don't think it's a desert.
Here, look it up when I give a shout out to our friends over at Toyota, where if you want the best car possible out there for any sort of car, you're looking for a sports car, you're looking for a truck, you're looking for a hybrid, you're looking for a hybrid truck that's powerful, they've got the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck. Which just does it all. I mean, it covers all of those bases there. We had one of those out there at our golf tournament a couple of weeks ago, and boy, was it a beauty. If you want the RAV4, they also have that. If you're looking for the new iconic 2024 Land Cruiser, they just dropped that this spring. And of course, they've got the Tacoma, like I mentioned earlier, the Tundra, so many different cars. They have 17 models available with all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive like the 4Runner, and of course 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from. So if you're looking for a new Toyota, the Grand Highlander potentially, check them out over at your local Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of DNVR.
Shout out to UC Health also. I told this story before, but there was that night where I left that dumbbell on the floor, wanted to go get some water, didn't want to turn the lights on, and bang, just broke a couple of my toes. I went in there, and UC Health was awesome. And now, if I showed you guys my feet, you wouldn't be able to tell which toes were broken.
Is that because they all look like?
Because they all look good. They all look good. They all look good. So there's my story with UC Health. I'm sure a bunch of you guys have stories also because they are the best. And that's why we're so excited to work with them. We've had a lot of fun with them at the Healthy Swings Home Run Derby. Just a whole bunch of cool stuff. Right now, they are making a push for mental health. In particular, they're working with former UC Health patient David Schlicht, who's a teenager who likes being outdoors. He's an Olympic hopeful. Things took a turn. He lost his leg in a ski training accident, and they were able to help him get back on track. So If you want to learn more about David's story, if you want to see more inspiring patient stories from UC Health like mine, you can head to uchealth.org/tomorrow to learn what it means to be or to live like there is a tomorrow.
Okay, here, what did we find?
So Colorado is a semi-desert because it has like temperate climate. Same thing with Montana. It's a temperate rainforest, not an actual rainforest. It's a variation of it, kind of.
That makes sense. You put the temperate in front of it, and it kind of mellows it all out. That makes sense.
It's a different type of rainforest. It's not an actual rainforest.
In the Twitter chat, can you scroll up a little bit? Here, I want to find.
It's like pro versus semi-pro. Like, it's football, kind of, but you know what I'm saying?
I don't.
Not the same.
No.
There we go.
False.
Tim Wentz. Do you buy or sell this? The largest desert in the world is Antarctica.
I mean, obviously, if he feels like this is true, he's Googled this, so I don't want to look crazy. And then 2, there must be some like definition for desert that like we're not taking into account. It has to be more than just the heat. It has to be like the lay of the land, where the mountains are placed, how flat the land is. I think that may tie into it, but I'm not going to answer that, Tim. You're not going to get me today.
Do you trust NASA?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. I'm curious what you don't trust NASA on aliens?
Yeah, they're not telling us the truth about that, for sure.
According to NASA, although Antarctica is really, really chilly, it is considered a desert because it receives very little rain or snowfall. So that's it.
Okay.
It's not about the temperature. It's about the rain and snowfall.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what makes Montana a rainforest.
Because it
It's
receives a lot of rain.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep. So now that we've cleared all that up, would you guys take this stat line from Bo Nix? This is ESPN's projections. They've got Bo Nix starting 14 of the 17 games. The other 3 is Jarrett Stidham. So keep that in mind. Only 14 games played by Bo Nix. 3,100 passing yards, 16 passing touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 37 sacks, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Would you take that for this season for Bo Nix? Now, Todd.
I don't want that, but I feel like that was a okay rookie year. Yes, I've seen a lot worse from rookie quarterbacks that go on to have, pretty successful careers. So I think this will lead him to a pretty successful career. So, yes. I don't want it, but like, you know what I'm saying?
You would sign up for that?
I would sign up for it.
Okay, Henry?
Nah. I feel like he could probably just roll out of bed and put those numbers up, Like 18 touchdowns in 14 games, nothing special. 13 interceptions, basically an interception a game. That'd be not great. 3,100 passing yards. Like that's... It seems like for the most part when quarterbacks are good, they show up and they're pretty good, Like, I guess there are a couple exceptions, but like C.J. Stroud last year, it's like C.J. Stroud is here, he is good, And I'm willing to roll the dice and say, like, if this happens, then maybe he turns out to be like a solid average quarterback, but that really doesn't get you anywhere. So I'm putting all my eggs in the basket of hopefully he's awesome.
And I should have thrown this out there too. 62% completion for Bo, and for me. Man, this would be such a confusing situation to be in because I'm turning this down and I'm rolling the dice on this. But Todd, I do see what you're saying. If he has these numbers at the end of the season, I wouldn't be saying, oh man, he can't be good. He could still end up being that top 10 borderline quarterback that we talked about. Are we going to be able to point to anything this year and say like, oh man, he's going to be able to compete with Mahomes for the best quarterback in the NFL or be a top 5? Probably not. We're not coming away with that, but we wouldn't officially be writing Bo Nix off after that season. More touchdowns than interceptions. But man, I think the Broncos would be in such a weird position here because he wouldn't be a bust after this season, but also there would be so much more that you would want to see from Bo Nix. And with these projections, Mike Clay of ESPN put these projections out. He also has the Broncos finishing with like the 2nd or 3rd worst record in the NFL. So that means they have the 2nd or 3rd pick in the draft. And if your quarterback just did this in his rookie season, it's not awful for a rookie. But like, then do you go and draft a quarterback at number 2? And then you're trading Bo Nix for a third or a fourth round pick, like you are losing this year's first round pick essentially with that. You're in such a tough position here. And the thing that really disappoints me with these numbers is 13 interceptions in 14 games. Like Henry said, almost an interception a game. That would be very disappointing for me. I know he's going to throw more interceptions in the NFL than he did in college. He threw 3 in college last year. He's going to throw more than 3. I get that. But if he plays in 14 games, 6, like one every other game, I'd want to see, because that was just his biggest strength coming out, is he does not make bad plays. He doesn't make bad decisions. So almost 1 a game would be concerning to me, especially with the touchdowns not being there. And then the other thing, 62% completion. I understand he's not going to throw 78% like he did in college, but to drop all the way down to 62, man, I'd be bummed out by both of those things.
Yeah, I think it's not ideal, but I think for a transition to the NFL, like, it's never easy. I don't know how many times we can look up and have seen a C.J. Stroud. Even in the past 5 or 10 years, I think, in a lot of ways he's one-on-one with
sure.
what he was able to do. So if Bo Nix can come out and mimic that, I'm all for it. But I think that realistically, I think we have to maybe set like a little bit lower of a bar, even though I think he'll be a great player. And even those interceptions, I think, 13 interceptions is a lot. In my mind was like, maybe he throws 9 and 4 of them come like from a tip ball or a batted pass. Like, every year quarterbacks have a couple of interceptions that happen like that. As long as they're not just like all of him making like the wrong decision, I can live with it. And I think it's just all about progress. If he comes out and is Superman this year, I mean, he has to be Superman for the rest of his career. I think if he has an okay year, he can just keep building on that.
Well, and not only progress from year in to year out, but let's say he starts off, and let's say Stidham plays the first 3 games. Since they have Stidham playing, I imagine that's just what they would have. And Bo comes in week 4, and let's say the first 7 weeks he has 5 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Everyone in Broncos country is going to be losing their mind. But then let's say he finishes out the season with, what would that be? In the final 7 games, he goes 9 touchdowns.
13 touchdowns, because he had 18 interceptions.
Yeah, 13 touchdowns to, what'd I say?
10.
It'd be 6, because it was 13 interceptions.
Yeah.
Yeah, 18. I can't remember.
I'm so
18
confused.
touchdowns, 13 interceptions.
It was 16 passing touchdowns with 2 rushing touchdowns.
Okay.
So we'll still say that 18. So it'd be it'd be 13 and what? I don't remember what I said.
13 and 6.
13 and 6?
Yes.
If he ends the season on 13 and 6, Broncos country would be taking a big sigh of relief. And then I think you go to, okay, he just had his rookie moment the first 7 games, and clearly he learned from that. And, of course, if the film matches kind of these numbers, too, and you're like, okay, he really settled in. He's starting to understand defenses. He's really synced up with Sean. 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions to finish the season in a 7-game sample size. That's pretty solid. And you still do have a top 3 pick, then you're probably trading that pick to move back if a team wants a quarterback and just getting a boatload of picks for that. Or you're taking Travis Hunter, or you're taking an offensive lineman. You're taking the pass rusher out of Tennessee, who's just a beast. And then you're kind of loading the team around Bo. So I certainly can see that. And there is some nuance here where if he does start slow and finish fast, then definitely that's a different story. But overall, 16 touchdowns to 13 interceptions, Todd. If you have the 3rd overall pick, I know you wouldn't hate this season from him. I guess 18 total touchdowns to 13 interceptions. Are you contemplating potentially drafting a rookie quarterback, or is that good enough where you're not worried about that at all?
No, I think I'm not getting another quarterback. We've been in a carousel already. I want some continuity. I want something to stick. I want something to work out. You know what I'm saying? You make a million bets. You can't lose all a million bets. One got to be right?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Tonight.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Argentina. I need Messi to score a goal.
There you go. There you go.
Bet365. Boosted from -110 to +175.
Wow.
Yep.
So my mind right now,
Can't miss
to
again.
start the year would be like building a team around Bo. If he has this kind of season, I think I would still be in the mindset of, let's try and get him more pieces so he can do better before I'm like, we need another quarterback because he can't win even if we get better pieces.
So here we got an interesting question in the Toyota chat from Not Hot Soup, who says, would they not bring Stiddy back out if it looks bad? If Bo does this, 18 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, that is not nearly enough for him to be benched. Not nearly enough. And the worst thing you can do is, let's say Bo goes out and looks like this. What would we call it? Like an season? Like maybe you'd say it's a little good, but you wouldn't say it's a great season, right?
No, not at all.
And so it's kind of between like good and The worst thing you can do is bench Bo and then not get enough sample size. Let's say he goes out the first 7 games and kind of puts up those type of numbers, and then you bench him the other 7 games. Well, then you're just telling me he's not your quarterback of the future. If you do that, you got to get the entire sample size from him. And I think that's kind of the biggest reason why a lot of people want to see him from week 1. They want a full 17-game sample size so that we're not dealing with the false positives that Vic Fangio talked about when it came to Drew Lock. Drew Lock came in. You were on the team, Todd. Drew Lock came in and went 4-1 and had a 4-touchdown game against the Texans and looked great. And Vic warned everyone right before Drew went in that first game. He said, what can happen with the small sample size is you can get a false positive. And Vic Fangio was 100% right when it came to Drew Lock. It looked like Drew was the next franchise quarterback for the Broncos after that 5-game stretch. Then he comes out the next year as a full-time starter, and he leads the league in interceptions and was not that 4 wins to 1 loss sort of quarterback that the Broncos had. So I think the worst thing that can happen this season, unless Jarrett Stidham balls out of his mind and is that guy, because that would be good for the Broncos. But the worst thing that can happen is Jarrett Stidham's not good and Bo Nix plays 4 to 10 games this season. You need a big sample size out of him.
Yeah, and I wouldn't recommend benching him no matter how he plays. I think we always talk about confidence. I was just with Ryan Harris and Benny Fowler, and they talked about once you lose that confidence as a player, whether you're a wide receiver, tight end, and especially quarterback, it's hard to regain that confidence and get good again. We talked about Zach Wilson. Like, it feels like he's lost himself and lost that gunslinger mentality and lost what made him great. So for whatever reason, if you put Bo in, do not bench him.
Yeah. You can't. And that's the case for not starting him right out of the gate. You know, you can let him sit for the first half of the season and then play him. And then you don't have to really worry about being in a situation where you feel like he's regressing, but you can't bench him. But I don't think you can justify that route either, because you need to play him and you need him to be good. It's kind of just that simple. And you look at Bryce Young last year, he had 11 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, but he never got benched because you just can't bench a rookie quarterback. Otherwise, all of a sudden it's a controversy. You know, then the next offseason's a quarterback competition. Then there's just so much that goes into benching a quarterback that, I mean, once you put in Bo Nix, whether that's week 1 or week 8 or whenever it may be, he's your quarterback until he's not anymore.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's 15 years from now, but I mean, odds are obviously against that.
100% right. Yeah, you're spot on. Speaking of benching, I think ESPN projects Jarrett Stidham to be benched 3 games into the season. And these numbers are interesting that Jarrett Stidham has when he's benched. I want to toss them your way. But first, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Premier Members Credit Union, where they're not a bank, which means they do things differently, like putting their members first with higher savings interest and lower loan rates. This is an organization that serves the community and the Colorado community in particular. With PMCU, you get local branches, friendly tellers, and the tools you need to save smarter, like their new high-yield savings account, or earn 5% APY on your first $2,000 with their reserve tier money market. Whatever your goal, they can help. PMCU is all about creating a better banking experience for their community and you. PMCU has all the tools to help you save smarter. So when you become a new member at PMCU, they'll give you $200. You just have to open a checking account and sign up for e-statements. It's that easy. This will be your best money move yet. So head to becomepremier.com to find out more. That's becomepremier.com to find out more.
And shout out to our friends over at Coors Light. Between work, social media, and the choices life throws your way, it's no wonder we're more worked up. Coors Light celebrates rising above and choosing a chill mindset. Why not turn a rained-out barbecue into a karaoke house party, or after a tough loss, settle scores with an ice-cold peace offering? Make the choice to choose chill. And we always keep Coors Light on set I think that's why we're so chill. It's a great podcast. I think it's because we have Coors Light in our lives, and Coors Light's a great beer for at the end of the day when you get done with your family, your kids, and you just want to chill a little bit, watch some Argentinian soccer, and hope for the best. Definitely grab a Coors Light. Make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Remember to celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company in Golden, Colorado.
All right, so here are some numbers that they've got for Jarrett Stidham. About 63% completion, 708 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and 8 sacks. Let's say he does start the first 3 games of the season, and he puts those numbers up. Do you think those are numbers to be benched in the first 3 games of the season?
Wait, real quick. Let me go back. Does that say Bo's getting sacked 37 times?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, that's another thing to throw on to the interceptions, which would be uncharacteristic of Bo, and the lower completion percentage, also the higher number of sacks.
Yeah, that would be horrible. And then we need to really start. Remember, we talked about Garrett Bowles and pieces of that offensive line. If he's getting sacked that many times his rookie year in 14 games, we need to start having some conversations and making some changes with the offensive line for sure.
So, especially the way he plays.
Yeah.
Like he gets away from sacks. The ball comes out quickly.
Yeah.
Like if he's getting sacked that many times, that's a problem. So that would be 45 sacks as a team. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 teams had more than that last year. So between, it's an offense where they should get the ball out quickly. You're really thinking outside of your center. You've got a solid offensive line. That would be a disaster if they get that sacked that many times.
It would be. Then you're 100% right, Todd. Are you paying Garrett Bowles all that money? Probably not. Are you paying Quentin Miners all that money? Maybe. But, you think twice about it, depending on how many sacks are coming from him. But then you just opened up maybe a hole at quarterback, if this is how Bo plays. You opened up a hole at left tackle. Right tackle's probably not that great, but you're stuck with him. Mike McGlinchey for another year. Center probably wasn't that good. Oh, boy. Yeah, let's hope that's not the case. You're right. That might be the worst stat on here.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. But as far as Jarrett Stidham, no, that would not be a good start to the year for him. That would not be good numbers.
So he would deserve to be benched?
Yes. Because he's at this point, he's a veteran quarterback. In some ways, he's the oldest guy in the room. He's leading a quarterback camp right now. If he goes out there and performs like that, I think he does deserve to be benched. And that's 1 touchdown a game. I just think the Broncos need more than that from their quarterback. And so if he's playing outstanding and he's balling, leave him in. But if it's just subpar production and nothing to write home about, I think it's time to get Bo Nix in there as quick as possible.
Have you ever played on a team where they had 2 quarterbacks? Obviously not in the NFL, but where they kind of rotate.
Legitimately rotate.
Yeah, seems like that's usually first half of the season at most.
Yeah. I think in college I did.
Yeah.
Because we had 2 quarterbacks. Shout out to my boy G Money, Garrett Saffron, and another guy, and they kind of rotated them. But I think by the end of the year, we knew who the starting quarterback was.
I can tell it was G Saffron, right?
G Saffron.
Yeah.
Because the other guy's just another guy.
Just another
I
guy.
can tell who your guy was.
There's no situation where that would make sense, right? For the Broncos.
No, it just makes everything confusing. You know what I'm saying? Just from the voice you hear in the huddle to the way they say their cadence, to kind of how they operate on the field. I think it just confuses a lot of the players and just makes it unnecessary.
Yeah.
You're putting a lot of pressure on the entire rest of your team, from the running game to the defense, to go out with 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 64% completion, and have to beat Seattle on the road, beat the Steelers at home, and beat the Bucs on the road. So you're probably 0-3. And if you're 0-3, really, regardless of what Stidham's numbers are, unless he's absolutely balling out, and then you're not going to be 0-3, though. But if you're 0-3, when you come back home to play the Jets, have that be Bo Nix as a starter. If you are already out of it at the start of the season, you got to put Bo in if he's not in already.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So that's the main reason why I think those Stidham numbers aren't good enough, is because you're probably 0-3 then.
Yep. And you brought up that starting stretch. I was listening to like a national podcast this morning, and first of all, when they're talking about the Broncos, they were not very good at it. They were missing some details in
Were
there.
they calling John Elway the GM?
No, they didn't go
Okay,
that
okay.
far. But there were some of those sorts of things. So I was like, okay, you think they suck, but we can put this to the side. One thing that they did bring up though was that the Broncos have 3 of their first 4 games on the road, and the Broncos historically are really good at home at the start of the season. And that's changed a little bit the last couple of years, but I thought that was an interesting point that I hadn't thought of, is that they really are generally good in September in Denver, but they aren't really going to take advantage of that this year.
I always wonder with stats like that because so much goes into it.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, the last time they were good in September, it was different head coach,
Yeah.
different GM, different quarterback, different, like, I don't know if it's just like a stat to be broken or if it actually holds weight as far as like how they play.
Wasn't there a streak where they had won their home opener like 21 years in a row or something?
I remember that.
Yeah.
And they had a winning record in September, even like with Vance Joseph and Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
They had the winning record in
Hackett
September.
didn't.
Yeah, I think Hackett broke that.
He did.
But it was like even when the teams weren't winning at the end of the season, they still won in September. And it was weird. My only thing because I tend to think stuff like that means absolutely nothing. It's just a weird historical thing that happened to line up. It's more coincidence. Except the one thing that maybe it could be, and Todd, you'd probably have a little more insight if this is real or not, is just teams aren't fully conditioned yet, and then they have to come play in Denver where you have to be even more conditioned to play. And so there's actually more of a home field advantage for the Broncos because they are ready to play at altitude, and other teams still quite aren't fully conditioned, yet they have to make the jump to altitude, which makes it even tougher. Am I stretching there?
No. I could see that for sure because I think we come against that or come across that like game 7, 8, 9, 10 too. So I guarantee it's harder for teams, to start the season first game of the year. So yeah, I could see that being the reason for sure.
And you have good fans here too.
Great fans.
Like very loud and things. But sometimes they're less loud at the end of the year recently. And so you get them at their peak in the first couple of weeks. So you throw that in with the altitude and the heat and all that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And then one more thing when you say that, Sean's probably saying the NFL's out to get me.
Probably.
Because we're good at home
Probably.
in Denver early on, and they're not letting me play at home in Denver early on in this season.
No, starting on the road in Seattle isn't as bad as it would have been like a few years ago. But that's still a pretty rough way to start a season. Like, going to Seattle is not fun.
No, it is not fun. Okay, so we threw out the numbers for Bo. Let's take a look at the rest of the rookies and what ESPN has them doing to kind of compare. Maybe we'll feel better about Bo's numbers. Maybe we'll feel worse. Michael Penix, they've got him playing in 2 games with the Falcons this year. They've got him going in those 2 games for 472 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I'd be feeling pretty good about Penix. It's a very small sample size there. That's almost 250 yards a game and 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio.
He's the man.
He is. Also has better weapons.
That's very true. Speaking of better weapons, Caleb Williams has better weapons.
Yep.
They've got Caleb Williams playing in 15 games, so just 1 more than Bo. He's thrown for 3,500 yards. He has 23 passing touchdowns, 13 interceptions, getting sacked 39 times, and also has 3 rushing touchdowns. So he's at 26 touchdowns to 13 interceptions with 3,500 yards.
I think his numbers are going to be better than that. I don't know what exactly is going to pop for him, but either he's going to have more than 23 passing touchdowns or he's going to have more than 3 rushing touchdowns. I'm confident in that. I wouldn't be surprised if he winds up having 10 rushing touchdowns just because of the way he moves. And if that doesn't super translate, I think that will lead to more passing touchdowns.
And if they put the tush push in, he'll have like 15 rushing
That's so
touchdowns.
true.
He doesn't
true.
bench.
You know?
He doesn't squat 700
Easily.
pounds. Weird. He's
Easy.
a tiny guy, 6'1". So I think I would sign up for those numbers if I was a Bears fan. 26 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. As a rookie, I would do it.
Yeah, that's better than what they've had in a long time.
That's
is.
really true. J.J. McCarthy starting 14 games, the same number as Bo Nix. They've got him going for 3,500 yards. That's 400 more than Bo. 19 passing touchdowns, 13 interceptions. They really like this 13 interception number for rookies, and 2 rushing touchdowns. So they've got J.J. McCarthy going for 21 passing touchdowns, or 21 total touchdowns and 13 interceptions, and 400 more yards than Bo.
Is that the Justin Jefferson
Yeah.
bump? Because
Really
I don't
could
know what
be.
you could say about him, J.J. McCarthy, to say he's just that much better than Bo Nix as a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, they've got Justin going for 1,300 yards, 7 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn good.
So having a big down year.
Seriously, yeah, because of a rookie
Which is
quarterback.
pretty crazy, yeah. But no, I think that's probably fair. I would probably go a little bit lower on McCarthy. If Bo Nix's numbers are the baseline, I'd say McCarthy should be a little lower. But it's not far off. Like, you have better weapons. He just doesn't seem to be quite as ready as Bo does.
I mean, that's a huge thing with the Vikings is better weapons.
Yeah.
Way better weapons, because it's not just Justin Jefferson. It's Jordan Addison.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
T.J. Hawkinson.
Yeah.
And while the Broncos, I think Sean is probably the best play caller and best offensive coach for any of these rookies, Kevin O'Connell's right under him. I mean, he still has a really good offensive coach. But still, in the same sample size, significantly better numbers for JJ out there in Minnesota. Drake May in New England playing.
Real quick, people also want to know the sacks on these guys.
The sacks. Okay, that's fair. Let's see. So in the 2 games Michael Penix plays, he gets sacked 5 times. That would be a lot for him, a guy that also gets rid of the ball quick. Caleb Williams, I did say he got sacked 39 times, so 2 more, but he played in an additional game. J.J. McCarthy gets sacked 38 times, so 1 more than Bo in the exact same sample size in terms of games. And now Drake May, he's playing in 15 games, according to ESPN. He's having 3,300 passing yards, so a little bit more than Bo. 17 passing touchdowns. Again, guess how many interceptions?
13.
13 interceptions. He gets sacked 40 times, so 3 more times than Bo, and he has 3 rushing touchdowns, so that brings the total to 20 touchdowns and 13 interceptions in 1 more game played.
Do I like those numbers? I feel like these
Compared to
sacks are
Bo.
high, though, right?
They seem high.
Very high.
They're like 3 sacks a game for each guy. Like,
To me, it just says that they don't think rookies are going to be able to handle the pressure and the speed of the NFL.
You get, like, if Caleb Williams gets sacked a lot, I'm not
makes
going to be
sense.
shocked.
No.
Like, that's kind of what he does.
Yep.
Especially as a rookie. Like, Drake May also, if he gets sacked a lot, makes sense. But the other guys, I would have expected a lower number. And in terms of, like, the Drake May projections, I don't know. Like, I've said this before, I just wouldn't play him that much. And so I don't know what happens if you do. I would say what
He's
they
playing tied for the most of any rookie
exactly.
quarterback in this.
They're saying 17 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Either the touchdowns are going to be lower, interceptions are going to be higher.
For context, C.J. Stroud last year in his full
C.J. Stroud last year
38 sacks.
had 38 sacks.
Yeah.
Bryce Young was sacked 62 times.
Yeah, Bryce Young 62, just insane.
Yeah.
So then the final rookie, Jaden Daniels, he plays in 15 games, 3,500 passing yards, 16 passing touchdowns, 14 interceptions, so 1 more than everyone else. But he's got 5 rushing touchdowns to go along with 500 rushing yards. So he ends the season with 21 total touchdowns and 14 interceptions with 3,500 passing yards. Man, for the most part, all of these rookie quarterback numbers are very similar. Oh, and he
Yeah.
gets sacked 41 times, so that leads the rookie class, which wouldn't be a surprise for a guy that runs a lot too. But they've got Bo Nix is the worst quarterback in terms of stats among this rookie group. I guess shouldn't be the biggest surprise because he was a 6th quarterback drafted, and what these stats are saying is he's
Yeah.
going to be the 6th best quarterback out there. And then an important thing too is you look at the weapons. The weapons that the Broncos have, probably the worst among this group. I mean, even with the Washington Commanders, you still
yeah.
have Terry McLaurin, who is just
They have-
an all-star.
Who's the other? Rondale Moore? Is he there?
They have Jahan Dotson.
Jahan Dotson.
Yeah.
I always get all those guys are like the same little guy, but yeah, Jahan Dotson.
And then also Austin Eckler coming out of the
Yep.
backfield. They've got him going for almost 500 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. So that is something to keep in mind. But again, I'm not shocked that the national perspective is that Bo Nix is going to be the 6th out of 6 quarterback. because he was the 6th quarterback drafted in the first round.
That's too easy, though.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But
That's
I'm
just
not
easy
shocked
to
by
write
that.
I think that's what it
Are you
is.
surprised though?
No, I guess not. Yeah, probably not. Because he was really, in a lot of people's mind, a second-round guy, early second-round guy. So if that's how they felt about him before, I mean, these stats aren't really changing in that opinion of him. I just feel like that's an easy, not knocking ESPN or nothing, but I mean,
You can knock him.
all right, knock ESPN. No, I just feel like that's just an easy stat just to write everybody in position of where they got drafted.
Sure.
But that's not how it works out. Like somebody's gonna jump somebody's gonna fall behind. And I'm just hoping that Bo Nix is a player that jumps up and has a good year.
Yep. It does feel like it's kind of you just plug a rookie quarterback in and you kind of tweak it a bit just based on where they're ranked and then factor it in with the receivers. I think I get putting Bo 6th. I also think, like, the concern about Bo is the long-term upside. The concern isn't what he can do as a rookie. Like, I think when you look through all 6 of these guys, you'd rather have Caleb Williams this year. And that might be it. Like, there's a case to be made for Jaden Daniels just because of the running ability.
Exactly.
But as a passer, you want Bo at this point. So Penix is also right there now that I think of it too. Penix is also pretty ready. So
Jaden Daniels was a hell of a passer.
Yeah, he is, but it's not pro-style concepts. It's not quick game. And, like, what they gave him really fits. I mean, it's very similar to what he had at LSU, but I don't know that you can just expect to be able to hit deep ball in the NFL.
That's fair.
Like, they're going to take that away, and all of a sudden you got to work underneath. The receivers that you have are meant to be running deep. And so there's just going to be more hiccups there, it feels like. Whereas as a rookie, I wouldn't have ranked Bo 6, but that's where he's drafted, so I get it.
And that's a really good point. If Bo is the 6th out of 6 quarterback this year, he is probably better set up to play than a lot of these guys. That would be maybe the most concerning part is like, man, what's his ceiling now? Okay, one more thing on these numbers. Would you rather have Bo, knowing he's a rookie, going for 18 total touchdowns, 13 interceptions for 3,100 yards? Or would you rather have a seasoned veteran who puts up 2,900 passing yards in fewer games, plays in 13 games, 2,900 passing yards, 15 passing touchdowns, 9 interceptions, sacked 37 times, so the same number as Bo, and 2 rushing touchdowns. So that's 17 total touchdowns, 9 interceptions. So essentially better touchdown to interception ratio, slightly fewer yards, but he's a veteran.
Is there an age on the veteran? Is there like a...
He's older.
Russell Wilson's age, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe exactly.
I could just be throwing numbers out. I don't know.
I would take Bo Nix. I don't think a veteran with those numbers does anything for us.
No.
Like, if you're going to put together some good numbers, okay, come here, help us win. But just to have the same numbers almost as a rookie quarterback, and we know the rookie quarterback is supposed to be our future, let's let him go out there and try to make something shake. You talking about Ryan Tannehill or what?
I'm talking about Russell Wilson. That's what they project. They project those numbers from Russell Wilson playing in 13 games as opposed to 14 for Bo. You think he'll have better numbers?
I think Russell will have better numbers.
I think so too. But if that is the case, oh my gosh, I'd way rather have Bo and the upside there being a rookie.
Sure.
Even though the numbers aren't as good, Todd, to your point, what's the Broncos' record if Russ has those numbers on this team? They're 7-6 wins? You're going nowhere. You're going backward, in fact.
But I also think if he has those numbers for Pittsburgh, more likely than not, they're in the playoffs.
Why is he only playing 13 games?
Probably injuries. He's old. Maybe they make a switch at some point, but I think those numbers are good enough for them. I mean, what numbers did they get last year from Kenny Pickett and whoever? Mason Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph was actually good. Shocking.
We should clip that.
Yeah,
Mason Rudolph is actually good.
Was
actually
good.
Okay.
Good for a 3-game sample size. Clip that whole thing if you're gonna clip it.
Okay.
Okay. So if you thought that conversation was dark, let's turn over to Pro Football Focus. Todd and Henry's favorite here. Guess where the Broncos quarterback room ranks in the NFL, according to them, entering this season? Actually, here's how they phrased it. Ranking all 32 starters ahead of the 2024 NFL season. But they didn't rank the Broncos starters. They ranked Jarrett Stidham / Bo Nix.
Guess those are our starters, though. I would say 30th.
30th?
Yeah.
Okay. So third worst in the NFL?
Yes.
Okay.
I think last.
Yeah, you cheated.
33rd.
Yeah.
Exactly. 33rd. They had, they probably had the Chiefs
Like
backups
Jalen
out of the
Milroe?
Broncos
Yeah.
or something. Yeah. 32nd in the NFL. Here's what they said. Nix, after being selected number 12, will be the Broncos starter at some point, but that point might not be immediate. Stidham just hasn't been good to this point in his NFL career. He has one season where he earned a passing grade of above 56, and his NFL resume includes just 2 big-time throws to 8 turnover-worthy plays. Nix's experience and efficiency at Oregon could help break through quickly, though his adjustment from the Ducks offense to the NFL situations could be a challenge. Are they right? Is this the worst quarterback room in the NFL?
I mean, on paper, if you want to look at the stats of everybody in the room, and with Bo Nix having a big goose egg next to his name as far as NFL stats,
Yeah.
I think you have to say yes.
Yep. I mean, on paper, it's definitely the worst. Like, you could make whatever argument. Like I said, like I think Bo Nix is probably more ready to play right now than J.J. McCarthy, who they have ranked 31st with the Vikings. But it's also like, it's Sam Darnold / J.J. McCarthy. Sam Darnold has proven more than Jarrett Stidham has, and J.J. McCarthy was drafted before Bo Nix. That's kind of the end of that argument, you know? So who's 30th?
30th, we have the Raiders.
Yeah. Ooh, Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew. So, I mean, Gardner Minshew's proven more than Jarrett Stidham.
That's fair.
I'd rather have Bo Nix than Aiden O'Connell for sure.
Me too. So I'd rather have Bo Nix.
Okay, even for this year?
Yep.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Gardner Minshew
But
is,
Aiden has
Gardner-
proven more
Exactly.
right now.
And I
as
think
far
that...
it's true.
the
I see
list,
that.
as far as the list,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah. I see
Yep.
it. This next one though, Daniel Jones. Would you rather have Daniel Jones? And if we're taking like the whole situation in with Daniel
That's
Jones'
tough.
contract, I'd way rather have Bo Nix.
sure.
And I don't know if PFF is doing that or not.
They're definitely not.
But I would, right now, going into this year, I'd rather have Bo Nix than Daniel Jones.
There are a bunch of those when you say, like, he's a rookie and you give him for the future. Yeah, give me Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham instead. But if you're just saying, like, for this year, who's better? Like, Daniel Jones is kind of a coin toss. Or it's like, do you get... good Daniel Jones isn't all that good.
Right.
But he's still better for sure than anything Jarrett Stidham has shown, you know? And if you get bad Daniel Jones, then that's probably... I mean, you're not really... You're arguing between, like, Jarrett Stidham or bad Daniel Jones. Like, what are you even arguing, you know?
Well,
at least he's done something. At least he has one season to point to.
And I guess I would be making this argument with Bo Nix in mind as
True.
a starter.
Yeah, and to me, the difference between Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham this season is about there isn't much of one. Like I think obviously you play Bo and let him get better, and you want to give him the experience. But if you put Jarrett Stidham out there, realistically, you win 6 games. Maybe Bo Nix is better. Maybe that means you win 7 games. But I don't think that there's like a 2-game gap between what they give you. And it's really easy to compare Jarrett Stidham to some of these guys.
Then we have Will Levis with the Titans coming in at 28. I'd rather have Bo Nix.
Yeah.
I think Will Levis had like 1 or 2 good games.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of concern outside of that.
Yeah. But again, though, like...
Who would you rather have this year? Will Levis or Bo Nix?
Probably Bo Nix.
Todd?
Yeah, Bo Nix.
Bo Nix? What about... Okay, and then Jaden Daniels, that's just how you feel about the rookies. They have 26. They have Jacoby Brissett and Drake May. Here's one where you look at the veterans. Jacoby Brissett is like a proven veteran that has done some things. So if you want to go that way, I can see why you would lean that way there. But this one, number 25 is Bryce Young. Who would you rather have? Would you rather have? I'm shocked that Bryce Young isn't further down on this list.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Bryce Young or Bo Nix?
Bryce was the number 1 overall pick.
Number 1 overall pick, just like 14 months ago.
Yeah, I think they just hope he has more weapons this year.
Yeah.
That is what they hope. And he's not getting sacked 61 times, which was partially him, but it was partially the offensive line.
Yeah.
That's why they went out and paid 2 guards massive amount of money.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say Bo, but I mean, he was a number 1 overall pick.
Who do you think has more upside?
I mean, it's
or
got to
had
be
one?
Bryce Young.
Yeah,
It's got to
coming
be.
out.
For sure had.
Yeah.
At least if you look at it both when they were both drafted. Yeah. Anthony Richardson.
What is he, 24?
He's 24.
That's solid for him.
He's awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
And
He's
I
solid when
mean,
he
you
plays.
talk about like potential. This guy's got all the physical tools. Just can he stay healthy?
Yeah.
And that's hasn't been an issue with Bo. I'll touch wood. For that,
Can we go back to knock on wood?
you don't
Yeah.
like touch wood?
No.
Touch wood. We got to touch
I
wood.
know.
That's part of our culture, Todd.
Wow.
It was brought over by some of our London listeners because that's what they say out there.
Yeah, but we don't say like trainers, and
That's
we don't
true.
say
We can start
what they say. Not the bathroom. They call it the what?
the loo.
The loo. Like
Oh,
you
they
know what I'm
love to
saying?
say the loo.
Well, I gotta go tie my trainers in the loo as I touch wood.
See, that's a horrible sentence.
Knock on wood. It's like caressing wood. You don't want to caress wood.
We actually had one of our OG listeners when it was just Ryan and I on the show, even before Mace was on. He is a woods carpenter. Yeah.
Woodsmith.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He's a carpenter, and he made us like these 1 foot circles that say "Touch Wood." BSN Denver Broncos Podcast.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
you
Yeah.
can touch wood whenever you want.
I touch wood. I have it in my
Oh,
study with no windows
This is
in
crazy.
there. And I
My
touch
son
that
is
thing all
here.
the time.
Listen to
I'm talking about a piece of wood that I touch.
Those things are awesome.
And then to round out the top 20, they've got Deshaun Watson at 23.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take the contract in, I'm taking Bo Nix 100%.
Oh, definitely.
Um,
It's similar to Daniel Jones, but it just feels more likely to be the good side than the bad side.
Fair. Russell Wilson at 22. Derek Carr at 21. Baker Mayfield at 20. And then Caleb Williams at 19. He leads the list of rookie quarterbacks. I think going through this, though, like, sure, I guess I do see why PFF put the Broncos at the very worst. And Todd, you made the case of why that could happen. But then I see, like, from 32 to 20, it's wide open. If Bo Nix goes out there and doesn't light the world on fire, but Bo Nix goes out and looks good, he's going to jump from 32 to 20 in like a 6-week time period.
Yeah.
And then for him to go from 20 to 10, like we talked about last week, he could do that in the following 11 weeks of the season, or just over the next, 2 years. He could easily make that jump. So while the national media is trying to bash the Broncos, I actually found this a little bit encouraging of what could happen there. We've got one super chat before we get out of here. Let's hit it from Mile High. Oh, we got two. We got one from Mile High Sign who says, I'm with Hank on this one. This is for Joker's legacy.
It'd just be so incredible.
Is it for his legacy?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You think he... I don't think
I
he
mean, in
needs this.
Serbia more than here. But I mean, like,
I think he's got everything already.
they
in
hated
Serbia.
him last. Do you remember what they were saying about him? Like, they wanted him gone. They didn't want to let him back in the country because he didn't play in the Olympic qualifiers after he just won the title. Like, this is for, like, their glory.
Well, they just sound ungrateful then. I don't think you should play.
but he hasn't done anything
Exactly.
for them.
Come
is the
play for
thing.
America.
That's yeah.
I'd say Denver's welcome to with open arms.
That's what Joel Embiid would do. See, that's the thing. Like, you want Joel Embiid to
No,
beat Nikola
I want
Jokic?
America.
That's Joel Embiid.
Nope, it's
No,
America.
it's
Yes,
not
it
one
is. No, he's
person,
the
it's a-
starting center. That's
No.
the two are going
What
at
about
it.
Anthony Edwards?
Like you
There
want
we go.
You don't
Joel
want him to
Embiid
play
just
well?
like if he has had 10 block game against Nikola, you'd love it, Zach.
I would like that America won.
He's from Cameroon. What are we doing here? Like, he's not even one of
I'm not
us.
making the
What do you
case for
mean?
Joel Embiid.
He's not one of us. He was born in Cameroon.
We all were born somewhere else. Technically, our parents
we
were.
were all
you go.
born in Cameroon.
But
What are you
if he's
trying-
over
what are you
here
trying to
playing
say
for
about
us,
me,
I think that's a
Henry?
big team.
What are you trying to say about me?
Wow.
No,
that's,
you're-
You're one of us. I didn't say that. That was him.
And what happens when the U.S. plays Mexico? Who do you cheer for?
I don't. At the end, I
You
decided not.
don't.
I actually decided not to cheer for anybody anymore.
You're
I
real
just
one.
watched the game, and like I actually just have
And you're over there
decided to
cheering for
stop.
Serbia.
Oh, hell yeah,
USA.
No, I want to see all these guys lose. Just seeing their faces. I just,
You know, this is Steph Curry's
Ugh.
first Olympics.
yeah, and
That's
I,
wild.
I hope he goes 0 for 30.
Wow.
What's wrong with Steph Curry? Like, he has done that
He's
to
just
anybody.
So you have to remember, like, so the sweep would have been the worst of the series against them. But it's just been a decade of all these guys where you just go
they've been
back and forth, back
they've
and
been
forth.
whooping you
We're-
guys.
Like, well, no, I mean the Nuggets have beaten them too. Like the Nuggets have beaten LeBron too. But like, you just go through all those and you leave every season with another list of like 3 guys who you're just like, I really hate him. And there are a couple on the team like Bam Adebayo. I've got nothing against him. Like he.
But you hate our country. I see.
I don't hate the
Here
country.
we got one more super chat we got to hit really quick. It's coming in from our friend Stephen Fox. He says, Bo Nix will win Rookie of the Year. I'll bet a die-hard subscription on it. I love it, Stephen. Let's keep that, and we'll circle back, hopefully, talking about how you are getting a die-hard subscription at the end of this season. Thank you all so much for rocking and rolling with us. We'll be back tomorrow on the DNVR Broncos podcast.
Miracle.
We all silly like the mayor.